Okay, this is the one that y'all been waiting on. How to deal with police officers in Mexico. And I think it's appropriate because I was pulled over today. um, so I'm going to start off with two options that I've used recently to get off the hook with cops. And the third option is your last resort. So today, came up to a funky intersection where it was a pedestrian intersection. Vehicular traffic was traveling one direction, and it was a crosswalk with a stop with a street light for the vehicular traffic. Like I said, um, I came up to that intersection. I split the traffic. There was cars in front of me. I split the traffic to get ahead of the line, which is normal in Mexico. When I realized it was a pedestrian crossing, I let all the pedestrians cross, and then I went, disregarding the red street light that I had, stop light that I had, because I was super close to my destination. It was right across the intersection. I wouldn't have done that if I'd known there was a cop behind me, but that was the situation I was in. He followed me into the parking lot that I was going into, pulled me over, told me I messed up. I pled ignorance. That is option number one. Plead ignorance. I told him I've never seen an intersection like that before. I didn't know what to do, and he said, "Well, you didn't see the red light?" I said I wasn't paying attention. Again, I pled ignorance. Um, he asked me for my ID, gave him my ID, started to explain, there's a lot of intersections that I'm not used to seeing. There's another type of intersection in Mexico where it will be multiple lanes of traffic traveling the opposite directions of each other, just like any normal street. But at the street light, there'll be lanes on the outsides of the lanes of traffic that allow you to disregard the street light and just continue through. Gave him that example. By that time, he's looking at my ID and he realizes, oh, he's from Texas. This kind of sounds plausible. Once he realized that and started to feel a little lenient, he said, I understand. I'm going to let you off with a warning. You need to be more careful and pay closer attention so that you can be safe on the roads here in Mexico. I said, thank you, sir, very much. Uh, Thank you for that information. And I was on my way. He let me go free and clear. Second option, which happened about a week ago, I turned down a one-way street the wrong way in Chiapas de Corzo, going to see the ruins. As soon as I turned down that street, there was a cop not, um, 50 yards away from me, saw the mistake that I made, changed his direction and continued and followed me up the hill that I was driving. I realized the mistake I made. I decided to do the honorable thing and turn around and correct my mistake. Of course, when I went to pass him the second time, he stepped in the street and pulled me over. Um, Started to explain, well, you did this wrong and that wrong, and I tried to tell him, well, that's why I turned around. I realized I was in the wrong. I know I'm in the wrong. I tried to correct my mistake. He said, well, if you hadn't driven that far down the street to turn around, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If you had turned around in half the distance, then it wouldn't be a problem. Baloney. He was going to stop me either way. So he continued to have this conversation with me and just drug it out and drug it out and drug it out. Even after I gave him my ID, asking me silly questions like where I'm from. You have my ID. You know I'm from the States. You know I'm from Texas. And he, to the point where I started to rationalize with him, and I pointed down the street, and there was a sign with two arrows pointing this way to travel this direction up the street, which I had done initially. I said, this is so super confusing. So rationalizing can be another option. Um, Finally, he had threatened, continued the conversation long enough that he had threatened to give me a ticket, and I was getting tired of having this conversation, wanted to continue with my day. It was early in the day. I still had a few hours to ride, and I didn't feel like bribing the guy. So I said, "You've already said you're going to give me a ticket. Go ahead and give me the ticket so I can go take care of it." At that point, he changed his tune and said, started to tell me, "You need to be more careful, and I'm going to let you off with a warning. My police partners aren't going to be so lenient the next time and let you off like I am right now." And because he was fishing for a bribe and I wasn't about to do it, so he ended up letting me go. That was option number two, rationalize with the officer. And then your final, last resort, your final option is bribery, which I've only had to do once and does not take. The first two options take a level of fluency in Spanish. The third option, not so much. Once you bring out the bills, once you start to show them, if 100 pesos, 200 pesos, well, then the conversation is going to be over. And those are my three suggestions for handling run ins with the police in Mexico. Be safe, guys.